Jó reggelt kívánok! Hogy vagy? Jó? Hmm. Boy, I woke up, I must have woke up at about 2:30 for whatever reason. I got to bed at about 10:30 and, I woke up at, probably about 2:30. I gotta stop taking my phone to bed. How many of you out there take your phone to bed? I'm just kind of curious. How many of you out there are willing to admit that your phone is right by your bedside, and it's like the last thing you touch at night and the first thing you touch in the morning. Your phone. Oh, goodness gracious. What did we do before we had cell phones? Think about that. What did people do before they had cell phones? They probably talked to each other. They they probably did. But when I'm out and about and I see people on phones all the time, I'm always thinking, a lot of times I'm thinking about my work, my job, because that is my job, is making making websites mobile friendly. I think, when I look at the statistics of my clients' websites, probably over 50% of the people that hit that website are on a mobile phone. And you used to, back in the day, you used to have one website for mobile phones and then one website for regular desktops or laptops. And then that all changed when something called responsive web design came out. And if you want to see a good example of that, just pull up one of my clients' websites. I always reference abcautocare.com. If you just go www.abcautocare.com and pull that up on your phone and hold your phone in portrait mode, you'd be amazed at the stuff that I research and analyze. Like, not only what percentage of the people hitting a website are on a mobile phone, but what percentage of people are on certain screen resolutions. Like, what mobile phone? Are they on an iPhone or an Android? Are they on a Galaxy Note or a whatever? And when you're designing, for optimal graphical user interface, GUI, when you're designing for the optimal interface, you want to be conscientious of all of that stuff. And if you pull up abcautocare.com on your phone, look at it in portrait mode, okay, and then turn it sideways in horizontal mode, and you should see it. You should see it change right in front of your eyes. But but anyway, I just started talking about, I got to stop taking my phone to bed, and then all of a sudden I'm talking about web design. But hmm, I woke up at the better part of 3 a.m. today, and I woke up at 3 a.m. and I just decided, I got a full day ahead of me today, just like I did last weekend. I think last Saturday I worked 15 hours or something like that. And today being Saturday and the 16th of the month, I always process my clients' uh, advertising. I process the invoices for advertising twice a month. And it's not the easiest job. It's just kind of tedious, and you got to pay attention. I probably process every 2 weeks something like fifteen to $20,000 in advertising expenses for for Google and for Microsoft. But anyway, it's not a bad deal. I got to tell you, if I could just stop and just, that was all I could do, all I would do is online pay-per-click advertising. That's probably what I would do. I'm just fascinated with the whole concept of digital marketing, so to speak. Hmm. But anyway, no, I got up and I sat down to the computer. I made myself some coffee at the better part of 3 o'clock, and and sat down and processed the invoices, and then I did some other work on a form validation script that I'm programming. And here it is. Alexa, what time is it in Fort Myers?
In Fort Myers, it's 6 a.m.
6 a.m. Alexa, what's the weather in Fort Myers today?
Right now in Fort Myers, Florida, it's 63 degrees Fahrenheit with partly cloudy skies. Today's forecast has partly sunny weather with a high of 71 degrees and a low of 52 degrees.
71 and 52. Can you handle that? Huh? 71 and 52. That's what the winter is all about. That's what my dad just loved about being down here. But anyway, I found myself thinking about something today as I was going about my morning, and hindsight is 2020. There's something, when you live alone, when you live alone, it's inevitable that you're going to deal with periods of loneliness, so to speak. You live alone, and you can have various interactions with friends and social activities and what have you. But at the end of the day, when you're alone, you know it's something that some people deal with better than others. Some people are more adept at being alone, or loners, and solitude, and other people struggle with it. Other people are challenged with being alone. And as I look back on my life, they say hindsight is 2020. And I may have told this story before, but when I was growing up just outside of Cleveland, Ohio, in a town called Euclid. We lived right on the beach. We lived right, well, a stone's throw. We walked down the street through a field, and you'd be at the shore of the inland sea, as my dad used to call it. My dad used to call it the inland sea. But anyway, so growing up back then as a young kid, I lived in a neighborhood of just a lot of children. There were a lot of children in the neighborhood, large families, there were several large Catholic families in the neighborhood. And as such, the Catholic, a lot of times the Catholics, maybe not as so much now these days, but back in the day, the Catholics were told to be fruitful and multiply. Be fruitful and multiply. Grow our fellowship, grow our church, so to speak. And as many good Catholics did, they had lots of children. And anyway, so I lived in a neighborhood with a lot of children. And even though I lived in a neighborhood with a lot of children, I still had a lot of periods of time where I found myself alone. I found myself with nobody to play with, or nobody that would play with me, so to speak. I was oftentimes I was teased and tormented, and and all that stuff. And then sometimes I would tease and torment. I mean, I could give as well as I could take. But as I look back over that period of my life, as I look back over those very formulative years of my life, I recall I was an altar boy. I was an altar boy at the local Catholic church, and you do the Sunday service. You would do your Sunday service, but then every now and then you'd be like every 8 weeks or something like that. You'd have to do the morning mass throughout the week. Monday through Friday or something like that at like 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. or whatever it was. But I find myself, I found myself rather, um, in those periods of solitude, in those periods of loneliness. I found myself talking to God oftentimes, talking to God, talking to Jesus, Jesus, God, one and the same. But oftentimes I would talk to God as I would talk to a friend, and many times the conversation started out with, God, how come people won't play with me, or something like that, you know. But I didn't really fully realize it at that time what I was doing, and that was I was nurturing and I was solidifying a relationship with God. And so I never, as I go through my days, I never quite feel completely alone. I never feel that sense. I always have the sense that, that the Lord's presence is with me, and I can talk to God, and more times than not, God doesn't need to reply because I know what His reply is. You know, but it's just an interesting observation, and as they say, hmm, hindsight is 2020. But anyway, so now it's on with the day. Big day today. They delivered the sofa last night, and cost $60. And I got to tell you, you know what? The sofa, it fits perfect. It fits absolutely perfect into the living room. It's the right length, and it's comfortable. It's comfortable. It's the right length, and now I can kind of build the room around it. I'll show you the. Let me bring the camera around. Doing everything I can today to not talk about getting old. I think it was Mark said the getting old stuff is getting old. Hmm. But if I bring this around here, so the project today is I want to knock out as much of this living room as I can. And, I got to say, it's coming together nice. So here is the sofa. If I back up into the corner, I'm gonna have to figure out the whole power cord thing. Maybe get a battery pack for the back of the sofa, or run it under a rug or something like that. But you see, so again, this is going to go. That piece is going to go right there, and I think it looks nice. I found a rug. I found a rug that I'm going to get. It's 8 feet by 10 feet, and it's going to take up a good portion of this room. But a tall over in Sweden was telling me that my TV should be mounted 65 inches. I think something like 65 inches dead center. So the TV is actually going to go up there on the wall, probably right between. Well, it'll be right between those two pictures, and just just right up there in about the center of that area there. But the sofa came out. I mean, the sofa is just wonderful. It really is. It's very, very comfortable. It's brand spanking new, and what I anticipate doing with this sofa is I'm going to put in a really nice large area rug. This TV is going to be mounted up on the wall, and the rug is going to go well, almost close to the wall. But what I envision is having the coffee table right here in front of the table, and then getting two nice not decorative chairs, but two decorative or comfortable chairs. Put them on each corner here, on the opposite side of the coffee table, facing the sofa. So when I have my Super Bowl party, I can just have friends over, and those two chairs can swing around off to the sides, and you'll have enough seating for several people to watch TV or movies or what have you. And then I'm going to leave the sides open. I'm going to leave this area open. Maybe get a plant or something like that, and maybe a small table to put underneath the window, or something to that effect. And over here, I'll put some type of a lamp in the corner, and get a nice lamp or something and put a lamp over here in the corner. And I'm undecided on this piece of furniture here. I've toyed with the idea of moving this piece of furniture over to the center area right there, and getting rid of this piece right here. So that's going to go out, and I'm toying with the idea of keeping this piece here and just putting it over right dead center on the wall right there. But I don't know. We will see. But I just don't want a cluttered look. I just want to avoid having a room that's overcrowded and what have you. So I'll get the hopefully I'll get the sofa today. The TV will be mounted. Here is the this mirror is going to go in this entryway or this alcove right here. And I was thinking about how to hang this mirror. Where do you hang this mirror? And you could tell me if I'm wrong as far as my logic of thinking. But what I was thinking was you would want it. Ideally, you'd want it centered. You'd probably want it centered, but not too high that people couldn't actually use the mirror by looking into it. And so what I was thinking was that I would measure the distance from the top of this table up to the corner where the curve begins. So measure the distance from here down to here, and then measure the height of this, and then divide the difference by 2, and have that much height below the mirror and that much height above the mirror, which would dead center it. I think that's I don't know if that's the right approach to doing that, but it seems logical to me, to have that mirror centered, centered right there in the in that area right there. But anyway, enough of all of that. So it's time to get on with my day. I got to clean the grout today too, down in the living room area with the hydrogen peroxide and the baking soda. So that's about it. One other quick thing before I go. I was watching a YouTube video the other day about the happiest places in the world to live. The happiest countries. The top 10. And what was interesting? One thing that was interesting about it was the United States was not in the top 10 happiest countries to live in the world. It just wasn't, which doesn't surprise me. I mean, you go out and about, on your day running errands and going here and going there, and you look at the faces of people, and generally speaking, people don't look happy. They just at least here, for those of you overseas that aren't that familiar with the United States, I still think it's the greatest country to ever grace the face of the earth. And I'd take anybody on who wanted to debate that. Let me repeat that. The United States of America is the single greatest country to ever grace the face of the earth. And let me qualify that. Insofar as its overall contribution to the betterment of humanity. Let that roll around in your head a little bit. The United States is the greatest country to grace the face of the earth, insofar as its overall contribution to the betterment of humanity through health, through technology, through, all of that stuff. And anyway, I know there's going to be people that are going to say, come out and say that's a, that arrogant thing to say or something along those lines. But it's true, and the nice thing about that statement is that the United States of America reflects the collective whole of humanity. The United States of America is a reflection of the collective whole of humanity working together. So when you say that the United States is the greatest country to ever grace the face of this earth, it's a reflection of what the collective whole can do together, and that's my deep thought for the day. But anyway, so time to get on with my day. Alexa, let's play Jeopardy.
This is Jeopardy! And now, here is the host of Jeopardy, Alex Trebek.
Thanks, Johnny. We see you enjoy playing Jeopardy! You can play Friday's clues. However, with a Jeopardy subscription, you'll get 6 more clues every day, with Teen Jeopardy on Saturdays and Sports Jeopardy on Sundays. You can learn more about our Jeopardy subscription or play Friday's clues. Which would you like?
Play Friday's clues.
Get ready for these clues.
Our first category is the Nifty 50s. When Billboard's Hot 100 debuted in 1958, the first #1 song was Poor Little Fool by this son of Ozzie and Harriet.
I don't know.
The correct response was Who is Ricky Nelson? Your second category is Mountains of Asia. It's noble, these mountains in Turkey share their name with the constellation of the zodiac.
What is
Please give your response, or I can skip this clue. Which would you like?
Orion?
Sorry, the correct response was What are the Taurus? The third category is What's being measured. Bar and Pascal are units for measuring this.
What is temperature?
No, the correct response was What is pressure?
I'm over 3.
Your next Jeopardy category is snails. The main difference between snails and slugs is that most slugs don't have one of these.
What is a shell?
Yes, that's correct. Our category is sitcoms. Dr. Johnny Fever spun records on WKRP in this city.
What is Los Angeles?
No, that's incorrect. The correct response was What is Cincinnati? The final category is all stars. The response includes the word star. In 1993, Pullover Jackets helped this sports apparel company reach $350 million in sales. In 1999, it filed for bankruptcy.
What is Converse?
That's not it. The correct response was What is starter? With a Jeopardy subscription.
Boy, I bombed today. You know, speaking of Jeopardy and Alex Trebek, you know, I think he's 79 years old, and he's battling pancreatic cancer, and you know, he's being in the spotlight such as he is. I mean, the way that he has you know, publicly dealt with his situation is just nothing short of really I don't know what the word is. Just something impressive, maybe is the word. But you know, like the when we play Jeopardy on Alexa, you know, what will they do with Alex's voice? You know, once we lose him. But anyway, that's it, folks. Hope everybody has a great day. All right, take good care. All right, bye bye.